Okay, I think we are streaming live now. At least XSplit seems to indicate that that is the case. Yeah, and Twitch is finally up. So, should be live. We are here to do a draft grudge match. Sohum versus r2devo. Both of them, I believe, are tied for first after the Swiss of ABTG draft Group A. I'm waiting on, I guess, both of them to create a game for the room. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here's the game room. Going to see if Phil wants to help commentate with me. I messaged him, didn't get a response, so we'll probably just start up in a second here. Do I have anything else to add to this? No, I think these decks should be really interesting. I've never actually played a Netrunner draft. I just finished actually drafting cards in my pool, and I'm excited to see what the decks look like. I assume both these decks are fairly good since they both tied for first in Swiss. Yeah. Sohum is playing Hopes and Dreams, of course. Let me see, someone verify my mic is working. Someone verify the mic is working. I have, for those listening in, I have both the Twitch chat open and the events channel on ABTG open on my other monitor, so I can see, hopefully, most things that are chatted at me. The first match here looks like it's going to be Devo on Runner and Sohum on Corp. Let me pick the channel, let them all know. Okay, you guys can start then. What's it? You'll pay for the whole seat. Your ticket gets you the whole. Ticket gets you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. So no. Probably woke someone up. Oh well, they'll live. Janking it to high heaven. Alright, nothing to comment on the IDs, so just the straight draft IDs. The mask versus the shadow. I've always been kind of curious about the mask. I guess that she's probably not meant to fit in Netrunner lore anywhere, and is just sort of, you know, a stand-in as the draft ID. The shadow could be any number of things. It reminds me kind of the board of Wayland. Sohum keeps his hand. R2 takes a mulligan. You know, nothing to really say about that. Sohum starts drawing, and then a hedge fund. I assume he drew the hedge fund. Although technically speaking, drawing first is a smarter play, right? You see what options are there. I like the absolutely no ice on any servers. You know, just I'm excited for the keyhole right here. Okay, John Masanori. Good, aggressive. Takes the free access and R&D. Gets the draw. Already sort of starting to click compress. This a lot. I mean, I assume with the draft deck you're going to want to move through it because your solution you only going to have one copy solutions. So drawing will probably be important. I can't really speak to how good that is. Takes the free access on HQ. Gets GFI. Oh wow, that's big. And Astrolab. That's all very solid. Very solid first turn. Blue level clearance. Wow. What is this? Constructed? That's kind of nonsense. To Operation Econ. To good Operation Econ. Janet bug will be fixed. Next restart. If nobody's been playing on Jaina in the last day or two, right now your cards sort of move around as the prompts, the little windows telling you things move. It's very disconcerting. Wow, restructure. Ahem. What is this? Constructed? That's just nonsense. Oh, and then lucky find. Okay, there's some really good kind of event operation econ going on here. I actually really like r2devo's setup so far. This is, what is it? Constructed. He's got a lot of passive draw. He got the lucky find. He's not installing anything extraneous here. He's just sort of holding back, waiting for Sohum to do something before he feels the need to sort of address anything Sohum's doing. Second unres remote. We never ran the first one. If I had to take a guess, that would probably be a trap. He's probably testing Devo. So I think the unres remote is always a good way of sort of gauging your opponent. You can sort of see what they do. I throw down this remote. You have no indication about what's in my deck, what I'm trying to do, and Devo takes it now. He wants to see what this thing is, and we're gonna find out shortly. He just kind of bounces off. Maybe waiting on the snare pay or something. No, okay, he just bounces off. So we don't know what that is. Devo sees it. So reses and marked accounts. Interesting. I might ask, is it kosher? Tell the screen what server 1 was. Sorry about that. It's raining and a bit stormy here. I'm waiting to come out of the cold. Reversed accounts. Okay, cool. So we've seen NBN asset econ here. Well, reversed accounts is from a trap. I like reversed accounts. I like it more than Ronin. What a surprise. NBN gets the better version of the card. Reversed accounts can be fired basically at any point, versus Ronin, you need exactly the 4 counters. And then there's sort of a question of how effective it is. They are their respective jobs, right? Reversed account costs the corp no money on top of whatever they spend on advancements. So obviously there's a significant cost associated with advancing an asset. Especially one that's not, one that can't be scored, it isn't a Grindle refinery or whatever it is. But I think, for what Ronin is supposed to do, might have some crazy stuff like phone interference, but volume is good. Okay, I'll move the wire, try to fix that, and I'll throw my phone over the desk. Let me know if the mic fixes itself. Thank you, Narvalicious, for troubleshooting my streaming here. Okay, so Devo decides to trash the reversed accounts. He didn't trash it the first time he saw it, probably because he wanted to see what server 2 was and if he was going to need money for that. He installed a film critic, which I guess it protects you from mid-seasons. Zoom in 2 more clicks. All right. Here, hopefully that looks good for everybody. Yeah, that actually looks much clearer. I'm used to playing with, we play with, oh wow, I was going to say NEH or ATF or something where you have a bunch of remotes and I just zoom out because the screen is huge. But I guess for streaming it's probably much easier. Muckraker, how many people actually know the stats of this card? This is the illicit ice in NBN. It is a weird one. It's a low strength sentry. It gives a bad publicity when it reses, and then it traces for 3 tags. Sohum actually bumps the first trace here for 1. This is an interesting predicament for r2devo. Sohum's got a lot of cash, so I don't, how much is he willing to pay here? Sohum's going to fire the second trace at 2. That means the third trace is definitely going to go off. So r2devo is walking out of this with a tag for sure. He decides to boost for the second trace. I guess it's the cheaper of the two for sure. He takes the tag, and then Muckraker's going to run. I generally think I like that from Devo. It was a solid, Oh, but then Masanori tags him again. That's problematic. So now he's definitely floating a tag into the next turn. He can click once, let's say like an easy mark or something. Easy mark would clear both tags, but short of that, he's going to have to, I don't know if you just don't even clear either tag. If you clear one of them, it's going to depend sort of on what his hand and what he thinks Sohum has. I'd probably be inclined here to run once just to see what else is out there. Probably hit HQ and see what might pop out, and then click and clear. Yeah, okay, he's going to run the unres remote. Let's see what this thing is. Masanori gets another card. Private contracts. This is the freebie asset that everybody gets in their corp draft decks. It's not exactly a pretty asset, but I think it does the job. It has a very high trash cost, which is obnoxious as hell, I'm sure. So Devo is now thinking he knows he's walking in the next turn with a tag. He can't clear both. The question I think here is, does he try to clear one now, or does he just accept that he's going to be double tagged? He's walking next turn with a tag, and so it's better to just sort of set himself up to do more things. So he takes the credit, that's for sure, we see that. He just takes 2 credits, so he's not going to clear the tag. So the big concern I think there is traffic accident. If Sohum is running it has a traffic accident, it's now online, versus if he clears one tag, the traffic accident won't land. Scorch obviously just sort of fires regardless. And then he can also trash the resources. Sohum is successful demonstration, again, constructed. I find it hard to really say what is this constructed with a straight face when we saw a res to Muckraker. I think Sohum really needs to capitalize now on this tag situation. He does money. He has a lot of cash. But I think he really wants to... Oh, he missed the remote. So Devo will need to take whatever card he just put and shuffle it. What did Devo discard? He didn't end up discarding a Cyber Feeder, which is okay. That sounds like a pretty reasonable draft card. And Sharpshooter. I like Sharpshooter a lot, actually. It's a pretty legit card. Game Day. That's interesting. I mean, more draw. r2devo is really pumps the draw here, which I think is good. I think that's definitely what you want to do with a draft deck, right? Sohum hasn't clicked onto his marked accounts. I guess he's got enough cash that he doesn't feel that he needs to right now. And again, I think he does need to capitalize on sort of that was a brutal res onto Devo. Oh, Devo throws down Armitage Hood Busting and removes the tags. Okay, so he's now cleared the tags. Sohum is going to advance something 3 times. Does he score or does he leave it? He scores. So it's a Brain Trust 3-2. What is this? Constructed. 3-2s are apparently very good in draft because you can never advance them, like Sohum just did. You have no indication as to what this thing is, right? Like, he could be anything. We've seen private contracts, we've seen marked accounts. Like, there's just no telling what exactly comes out of a draft deck. So, does Devo feel inclined to run this thing behind the server? Maybe. Not when he's floating tags, though. He plays a Peddler, adding more to the massive draw on this deck. We've seen, 3 cards, 4 cards now dedicated to draw. All very solid. Takes money from Armitage, setting himself up. I'd probably be inclined, take the 3rd from the Armitage, and now he's really able to contest. He's got a Street Peddler with unknown things on it. He's actually got money. He can now contest Sohum's remote, probably. we don't. I mean, Sohum may have something really scary in there. Sohum decides to take cash. Just res the contracts. Oh, puts money on the marked accounts. Reses the contracts. Very conservative play there. But I think that Devo has shown that he's ready to sort of gear up for the next turn's run if he needs to. Takes more money from the Armitage. Plays a Chameleon. Okay, all right, that's a fun one. And he's gonna hello, index breaking. He only really needs to break 3 of the subroutines here. So he breaks 4. Yeah, okay. He realizes he only needs to break 3 of them because Muckraker's last sub doesn't do anything if he's not tagged. So he's going to index. Masanori picks up a card. This is some true, shaper attack right here. Indexing a lot of times feels like it's sort of the little brother to account siphon, where if you're going to leave. If you leave HQ open against criminal, right, like you're expecting that you're going to get siphoned, you get punished for that. If you leave R&D open against Shaper, you're supposed to worry about the indexing. Obviously there are games that are won and lost on indexing, but I really just don't think it punishes nearly as hard as the siphon does. That's probably by design. Shaper really isn't a faction about punishment in that same fashion. So Devo has moved the cards back to R&D. He's thinking about what he's seen. And he runs HQ. So he probably didn't hit an agenda, or if he did, he decided to put them further down. Next, bronze. All right. If I see... Oh, and he gets tagged again. Oh, that's... Masanori is really hurting him here. That's, one of the big lessons of Netrunner. Never run last click, right? So if I'm Sohum here, what do I do with this tag? I might just... Oh, he pulls the Jin. He pulls the Peddler. What did we see? We saw an Aesips, and we saw Xanadu. Huh, that's fun. So he didn't want Sohum to trash the Peddler, which, if I was Sohum, I absolutely would have done that situation, given the tag. Punish him for getting himself tagged. Sohum puts an upgrade on R&D, possibly a Chrysium grid, to prevent another indexing, and another ice, and takes money from contracts. So he's moving slow. He's not trying to really push Devo here, and he's not fortifying his scoring remote. I expect he'll probably vomit like 2 or 3 cards onto here, or this is some very scary ice, and he thinks that it's strong enough to protect him against whatever Devo can throw at him. I'm also thinking of this as though Devo will have some, very legit breaker, or very, tutorable ability to, or some ability to get a tutorable breaker or tutor breaker out. I can't speak. And we get a sneak door. Ooh, sneak door. This is cool. He accesses psychographics, tag punishment. He accesses Utopia fragment, steals the Utopia fragment. Wow. All right, so Devo is now at 5 agenda points. He needs 1 to win. Any access on a central now or R&D especially, is going to be really risky for Sohum. And Devo knows there's no agenda for the next 5 cards, or he knows whether or not there are agendas in the next 5 cards. Sohum draws a bunch, probably trying to clear out the indexing to prevent Devo from sniping an agenda. It may be a kind of scenario where he sees an agenda, he doesn't think he can take it, or he doesn't think it's worth running the Muckraker again, and puts it further down. I doubt that, though. I think it was much more likely that there were no agendas in that 5 cards. I think he would have run it and taken the agenda rather than running his unresed ice on last click. And he blocks archives. This is good. This is good. This is bad for Sohum. Obviously, he's now looking at something really scary here. He's having to spread his ice across his centrals. He has not been able to fortify his remote at all. It's not a situation you want to be in as a corp. I assume, especially in draft where your ice is sort of, a weird suite at the best. You're not able to pack like really consistent, efficient ice that meshes well with your strategy. You're just kind of grabbing whatever's there. Um, this is interesting. I At the same time, the credit difference is really stark here. If I'm Sohum, I probably actually don't trash John at this point, because John is now tagged almost as much as he's drawn for Devo. He's almost as much of a liability as he has been a strength. And the film critic is only worth noting if you care about film critic. So Devo draws a card. He wants to start looking for more answers. He takes a credit. I assume clears the tag. No, 2 to install Chameleon. He can't. Oh, he's gonna do Code Gate and then run HQ. All right. So I have a request from, I believe this is Phil. Let me accept this, and I will add Phil to the call in a second. So there's no agendas in HQ here. I think it was kind of a bold maneuver on Devo's part. He indexed and he saw there was nothing here. Oh wow! And then we get this is really the glaciering up here. He just dropped 5 credits on installs, so he really wants to protect things. He knows there's agendas in R&D, and he can't let Devo in there. He knows he needs to score agendas out. He's gonna have to score, I assume. I mean, we've seen now 2 3-point agendas, which is big for a draft, and he's gonna keep hitting HQ. Huh. We're sending a call request through Skype. Yeah, the BP from the Muckraker. That was something I was really concerned about for Sohum, is when he res this Muckraker, it felt like he really didn't. Oh, a C-Source. Oh, that's always a scary card to see. That usually indicates that that the Corp wants to Scorch you. What's fun here is Devo has the Chameleon here as bonus protection, but double Scorch and he's dead regardless. So I think after seeing that C-Scorch, it was one thing to see the psychographics, like that's whatever. Psychographics needs basically land mid-seasons to really. Okay, there it is, Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hey.
So we are spectating this draft grudge match here between r2devo and Sohum. I don't know if you're on JNet and you can see it. Otherwise, you can, I guess, be a little delayed on the stream. We're seeing. I was commenting that it's a very interesting position Sohum's in here. I thought the Muckraker was interesting, but I think he had to capitalize on it bigger, and now it's really coming back to bite him. The BP is gave Devo free accesses into HQ and cheaper accesses on R&D, and he wasn't really able to sit on that or do much of the tags it gave Devo at the time of.
Right. Fortunately, I didn't have to face him whenever we did the draft matches.
Yeah. Devo also just saw a C-Source out of Sohum's hand, which is always kind of I was commenting, it's kind of a scary card to see. We saw psychographics earlier, and psychographics is obviously it's concerning, but you need to land a bunch of tags for psychographics to really be effective. So that means the kind of mid-seasons, and Devo's already running the film critic. That Armitage, I think, is going to go by real fast.
Better clear that tag.
Yeah, exactly. I assume if I'm Sohum right now, I instantly kill the Armitage. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
The tags are sort of. I mean, I would be scared as Devo also because seeing a C-Source means there's probably Scorch, right?
Yeah.
You can't psychographics off a C-Source, but you can Scorch off it. So just hanging out with the tag seems like you want to solve that problem pretty quickly. Sohum's installing in server 4. I liked Devo's early aggression, though. I really liked the Astrolabe and the John Masnorian draft. That felt, very strong, sort of letting you stay aggressive and also draw a bunch, which is important in draft, where your deck is sort of one-off solutions for problems instead of having a consistent plan.
Yeah, I like that sneak door too. That was sneaky,
very sneaky. Not something you would see or you would expect to see out of anyone who's not a criminal. The only really what is this constructed moments I've had so far have been early on when Sohum played both hedge and blue level clearance on his first 2 turns. Just sort of like, what is this constructed? Who has that kind of operation econ? Otherwise, it's been delightfully janky, I think. And there's a corroder.
Well, whenever he's glaciering up so hard, throwing that sneak door out there, that's also a pretty perfect moment.
Yeah. All right, we see the Atlas. So Sohum's now on match point, more or less, unless he's running 1-pointer or something. Both at match point. If you're Devo here, do you want to try to stay and contest the remote? I think you're not going to be able to contest the remote unless you get some kind of econ going, and it's going to be tough to get econ going while still holding that tag.
Yeah, since they're both pretty much on game point, and God knows what that Glacier remote is going on there. I feel like sneak dooring, quite a bit is the plan.
Yeah.
It's tough that if he can pull out some HQ multi-access, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah, for sure. R&D is looking very slim here. 7 cards left. We know so it's 14 points in draft, 16 points in draft that you have on your deck.
I think so. They're smaller decks.
Ooh, closed accounts.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's painful. That's shutting down your ability to contest the remote. He's really got to get rid of that tag. Maybe the C source is just for closed accounts, though. It could be that he's not running Scorch and he just wants to be able to pull off his closed accounts. In which case, then maybe breathe a sigh of relief. But anytime I see C source out of any deck, I always assume that there's a Scorch somewhere, and I need to be wary of tags. Yeah. So he clears the tag now. He's sitting at 1 credit. If Sohum throws something in server 4, it's going to get really dicey really fast for Devo.
Yeah, this is a really wide scoring window right here.
Yeah. And I think if he does, I think you're right that the big play for Devo is just to hit the sneak door and see what you get. Takes the private contracts. Another ice on R&D. And takes some contracts. So I don't know if this means he hasn't drawn an agenda yet. If this means his ice on R&D is just like porous and is just kind of bluffy. But that's a big hit to install another piece of ice on R&D here, especially when your opponent's at like 1 credit and isn't going to be able to access it anytime soon.
It really makes you wonder about that upgrade.
Yeah, my guess was the Chrysium. Early on, Devo used an indexing and got to look at R&D that way. So I'm guessing Sohum was kind of like, I don't want you to ever indexing me again. I'm going to throw my Chrysium here if I'm carrying a Chrysium in my draft deck. It could be an Ash or something, but I would imagine that anything that's like really agenda defense is going to go in the scoring remote. So now we have the install on server 4. This is game point. As Devo, I don't know what you do here. The R&D is also a good, I think, move here that it sort of telegraphs there's agendas in R&D. If you're Sohum and you're totally flooded and your hand is totally full of agendas, where do you put an ice? If you put it on archives, then he just runs HQ because we know that bronze is a 1 credit break for Devo, and he's already got a VP, so it's basically blank. Okay, and we got a new ice on server 4, so he swapped up his ice here and decided not to pay the install credit here, but he was willing to pay the install price to put something on R&D. That's sort of a, I'm really curious about what all this ice is now. Anyways, I was saying if he's flooded, if he's got a bunch of agendas in HQ. I think if he puts an ice on HQ or R&D, he's telegraphing that. He's letting his opponent know, hey, this is where the agendas are. By putting an R&D, it's sort of saying like, oh, I don't have agendas in my hand; they're in R&D. So like in anything in Netrunner, it's like, is it a bluff? Is it not a bluff? I don't know.
Yeah.
Devo draws. I don't know if the draw is what I want to. Oh, tinkering. Okay. Ice protecting server 4 at position 2. So I believe that's the most recent one. This one here, and he gave it everything. So his corroder now works on it, and he has a Faust. Ooh. Ooh. All right. This is going to be interesting. What do we get? Ice number 1. I believe it's the outermost, the one that he's approaching right now. Outermost, yeah. So he wants to at least get past one ice. He figures by tinkering it, he'll be able to get past this thing. If it happens to be a Turing or a Swordsman, he's sort of out of luck. Well, if it's Swordsman, he can break it with Critter, but if it's Turing, he's just kind of screwed. Normally I would sort of be like, why would you worry about a Turing in a random deck? But I mean, this is draft. Who knows what we're going to see. Sohum's really thinking here. It's probably some sort of tax, but it's not enough to keep Devo out, and then he's got to think about whether or not he wants to res beyond that. Devo is out of clicks. This is running last click, so if he can stop him,
this is the right here.
Yeah, this is the game. I mean, this could be the game. This could be a bluff in this server, right? We don't know. We saw early on in the game, Sohum just kind of threw down some naked remotes. He threw down a reversed accounts just on his first turn. It was like draw, hedge, naked reversed accounts. Which is sort of an interesting play. I think he was sort of trying to gauge r2devo as a player to see how Devo felt about unres remotes in this deck. So
there's some deep thinking going on here.
Yeah, really deep thinking. I think this ice is important to Sohum. Obviously, he installed it, and he was willing to trash another piece of ice to get it in place and have enough credits at the end. So I think the fact that it's tinkered is really bothering him. That or the Faust. One of the two of them is yeah, he's mathing. Okay. So he's trying to count it to see what he can afford to res, what he can, what his plays look like after this. If I'm Sohum, I'm really inclined to res here. It's always kind of scary when they're on like third click and you res the big ice that costs you a lot to keep them out of the remote here, because then he's just going to sneak door you and go to HQ since you have no money. But since it's last click, I think as long as you block Devo, you're good. Math face.
Yeah, that's definitely not a bluff in there.
Yeah. I think you're right for sure. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be thinking this hard.
Yeah, unless it's a super duper bluff.
It could be. Okay. Ride with me for a second here. It's a bluff. He has a biotic in hand. And he wants to be able to pay for the biotic. No, it's a Draco. That's a nice. Does he pay any counters on it? So I guess this is where the math really came in. It was like, when you look at Draco, you have this sort of issue of however much I spend to actually res the Draco is directly taking away from the strength of the trace if the Draco fires. So you have a balance of like, how much do I spend to res the Draco, how much does that leave me for the trace, and how many credits does that leave me overall to do whatever. I think if you're Sohum here, you put at least 3 counters on the Draco, because that gets out of Faust range. Anything less, and he just Faust for 1 card. The mathiest device. Math elemental. This is definitely a very difficult set of calculations for Sohum. My gut instinct would just be to put 3 on it, see what Devo does, and go from there. But again, I don't know Sohum's board. There's a lot of stuff that's unresed. Wow!
Yeah, he
7
hammered that.
counters. Wow, that's really.
He does want to tax the crap out of Faust, but he needs to leave enough so if Devo's like, what the hell, let's do the
Yeah.
trace, that he can also beat him in the
Beating the
trace.
trace, yeah. So I assume he's gonna. I assume Devo is just gonna let the trace fire. He's not gonna. That would be. He can't break it with Faust. No, I mean, he definitely can't break it with the Corroder.
In any case, Sohum is not scoring that agenda next turn.
He might be, right? So if he. Devo can beat a trace if he adds 1 to the strength. If he adds 2 to the strength, he gets a marked accounts credit. I don't think.
True.
I don't think Devo has anything on the board that will like magically give him money. I've had weird scenarios where like I fire a trace or something like that, and like assume they can't after they beat the trace they can't get through, and then they like pop caches out of nowhere. Haley does that a lot. Like suddenly there's cash on the board, and you're like, oh crap, she has more money than I thought. So if it's just a straight, I mean, if this is a 3-2 in the remote, and it might be, is this constructed? If it's a 3-2, I think you only need to put 2 credits on the trace, or even 3 credits on the trace, and you guarantee he can't break the trace. Devo says, "Don't run last click, kids." Yeah, Devo's gotten really hit hard on last click runs. Earlier on, he face planted something. I mean, Muckraker was actually an early run. The big problem with Muckraker was that John tagged him when he got ETR'd on it. So when he first hit the Muckraker, he beat 2 of the traces, so he's only holding 1 tag, and he could clear that at the end of his turn. But because Muckraker ETR'd, John tagged him, and then he couldn't clear both before going to Sohum's turn. But he actually floated tags pretty aggressively. And it really didn't hurt him too bad, other than the Armitage, which is a really unfortunate play. When he played that Armitage, he only clicked it once. And I mean, he would have netted the same just by clicking for credits there.
Yeah, that was too bad. So Devo could blow his whole hand away to get past this.
Yes, he could. Oh, yes, he can. For some reason I thought he wouldn't be able to break it. No, he can't. Because it would be 1 card, 2, 4, 6. Oh, he can. I can't count. 6. And then he goes to 8. So he's going to break it with this. This is a bold play. I like it.
Bold play.
I mean, I guess you assume it's for the game. You have to continue. And hopefully you can get Sohum to res whatever comes next.
Yeah. Next dice is Komainu, and he's like, shit.
Yeah. Continues the run. Oh, man, what are we going to see here? Roto turret.
Oh.
So he's going to lose that Faust. He's going to get ETR'd. He's going to get tagged. And Sohum can't score out next turn, though. So he gets another turn to do things with. And most likely those things are sneak doors. So he loses the Faust. He gets tagged. He assumes he's fine. We did see that Sea Sorcerer earlier. Are we about to see a Scorch?
Man.
I mean, Sohum's gone through most of his deck. So if the Sea Source was just for closed accounts, no, he just triple clicks. There's no Scorch.
Nice.
Alright then. 1 turn to live, Devo. What do? You draw a card. I think you just have to sneak. I would just sneak to our first click and just see what happens. What did we also see come out with Faust? We saw him trash Keymaster, Game Day, Chameleon, and Scavenge. Man, that Scavenge would have been nice. He could scavenge his Corroder into the Faust or the Jin into the Faust. I guess he'd be kind of screwed because he wouldn't have the cards. He's got to run. He's got to run like now. I don't know what he's looking for unless it's Inside Job won't do it for him. He removes the tag. I think it's a conceit, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, you should at least spent the last 2 clicks trying to HQ or sneak door.
Yeah. A last click sneak door. I don't know why you clear the tag. You know.
Hmm.
Because you could also. Well, this is just one unread card in archives. I was wondering if I thought for a second that maybe someone was hiding more stuff in archives, but he's only got one there, so. Unclear.
If someone threw a sneak door on the table, I'd love to stick agendas in archives.
Yeah, exactly, right? Oh, and this is Caduceus. He can't beat these traces. So he's SOL. Caduceus is actually a really good ice for Sohum here. But I think if Devo had just clicked for credits, well, running with nothing in hand is obviously scary. I think you're on game point there. If you're gonna do anything that's not run, you click for credits and then sneak door on click 3 to see what happens. Scorcher.
Oh!
All right, there it was. I figured there was a scorch in there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
The sea source round.
Huh. Well, now I want to know if that's an agenda in 4.
Yeah. Can you tell us what's in server 4? He advances it.
I bet it's a 5-3.
He gives himself some clicks. Advances.
Oh.
It's a Philotic. Oh, wow.
Wow,
that
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, nasty. I mean, I guess that was only had 2 agendas. Man, this really shows you just how rough GFI is on runners.
Yeah,
3 agenda,
totally.
You don't get paid out for it.
Man, what a move. He could have scored out, but he killed him instead. That's my kind of guy.
Figured I'd showboat a bit for the audience. Thanks, Sohum. Any agendas in hand?
Yeah.
None. Oh, that's unfortunate. All right, so they were. So what do I mean? It's 14 points, I guess. So 6, 10, 12. Oh, yeah, there's only one agenda in left of the deck. Credit 100. Huh, wrap around.
Pop up. Nice.
Bernice Mai. Hey, that's a card.
Wow.
That's a card.
He's tagging and bagging with this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Was there something else I saw that was like a tagger at some point? Second Scorch. Wow, he has another Scorch in there. That's and a data rate.
What is this constructed?
Yeah. What is this constructed? That's a lot of tagging stuff. That's quite a few tags. I mean, Gutenberg is obviously like a very strong tagger. Draco is actually something of a tagger. I mean, the Trace 2 is pretty weak. Muckraker, as we saw, can certainly drop tags or throw tags around. And Sea Source, or Sea Source, has something. All right,
cool. That's a pretty decent build.
Yeah, it's a very solid draft deck. I wonder who was passing him Scorches. Who was like, nah, this card is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you let some Scorches go by, and then suddenly it's like, huh, all the cards involving tags aren't showing up now. I wonder where those all ended up. All right, swapping sides. I'm game for whatever. Probably prefer no break. Alright, and now we're on to the next match of our supremely constructed decks. I found it interesting. I think it was actually harder when we first switched from... People started switching from the drafting corp for drafting runner, a lot of players complain. A lot of people in the draft chat complained about how much harder runner was. But honestly, at this point, with having now drafted both my decks, I felt the corp was a lot harder of a draft, and I'm much less confident in my corp deck than I am my runner deck.
Yeah.
Grudge match. I swear to lords in heavens above that you are playing a constructed deck, good sir. Alright. And here we go. Same IDs. Not exactly surprising. Yeah, I'm interested.
Started to see the new runner and corp IDs for draft, like the new ones that came out that are all different.
Yeah, those look really cool. The Wayland one makes me really wish it was a constructed ID. Like it's like what because we built it wants to be.
Yeah, it's sweet.
And the Shaper one is really good.
Oh man, here's an idea for our group. Maybe we do a constructed tournament, but with the draft IDs.
That'd be something worth trying. I'm game for that. There's a couple of really fun Netrunner tournaments I'd like to try at some point. Netlander has always spoken to me. One card only, or one copy of each card in your deck. Only singletons. Wow, what is this? Constructed? Wow, what the hell? That's quite the opener from Sohum.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, Devo sort of had an approximation of Ice Ice Hedge, but that's the kind of opening I play in a Kate deck, right there.
Yeah, no doubt. It's crazy.
Like I would be extremely happy to get that opening in Kate.
Yeah. Oh man.
Or really any shaper. So I assume going into Sohum's next turn, he's just. I mean, he might run R&D, but if I'm Sohum, I probably just Proco 3 times. Proco 3 times and play something.
Yeah.
Devo installs ice over server 1. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of that, but because I think right now you want to start throwing asset. You want to distract Sohum from being able to use his econ. So I would want to just throw assets onto the board or things. He doesn't res on R&D. Single access, no. I was watching Big Boy and Sohum runs last click. That's bold with next. I like that both of our corp decks have featured a next ice. It's really just like I found this ice. It has ETR on it. I guess I'm using it.
Right.
I was saying something about
Big Boy.
Big Boy. Oh yeah, Big Boy and Kalimsha. Both of them are very good players. Big Boy has written a bunch of different Foss decks. He was on that Fusion Hop blog, and had a really interesting sort of write up on Foss in general. And then Kalimsha is just he's the Kalimsha Kate is the Kate build that everyone refers to. Anyways, Kalimsha is I feel like for Kalimsha, Netrunner is Kate versus NEH. Like that's the entire game. Like that. These are the decks he plays. This is the matchup he cares about. Whatever. But he was making an interesting comment, where he said like he thinks against Fastro, if you want to beat Fastro, you have to be able to pick an agenda off a single access. Like you're gonna get like 3 or 4 single accesses at some point in most of the NEH matchups, and you have to pick up an agenda in one of those, or else you're Little Engine. That's a card.
Oh man, where's my street magic?
Yeah, right. I like the Little Engine in draft though. It's a beast of a code gate if you don't have street magic.
Yeah.
Atman 7 is a fun one for Little Engine. Just to get 3 credits as you kind of run by it. But then you also paid 10 credits to put an Atman 7 into play. So who really won that exchange?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it was just a really interesting thought from Kalimsha where he was kind of like, in order to be, in order to beat Fastro in sort of the current meta in the post FWL world, you have to be able to pick up an agenda on a single axis, or else like they're going to be able to block too many of your multi-axes. It's just so hard to take stuff off the board from them, and just like they score out so fast, you have to have gotten one of those. One of those agendas. What browser does that to you?
Well, just like any of them, like if I alt tab somewhere and I'm not thinking about it and I'm watching a match, and then I mouse over, it doesn't show anything. And I'm like, oh yeah,
if the
browser's primary one.
Yeah, if the browser's not in focus, yeah, for sure. You can also private chat. Yeah, I'd be worried if he started asking in chat, what are the stats on Little Engine, or what are the stats on X card. Then someone gets a lot of insight into what he's thinking about. How much money does it cost to fire a snare? He says he has a good memory for the cards. All right. So this is an interesting position for Devo. I think I really, really want to, in Devo's position, just start spamming assets everywhere. He may not have them. He may just be sitting on all operations. The only things we've seen out of his deck are ice and a single operation so far. But I don't want to let Sohum just sit there and click his professional contacts until he feels he can address your scoring remote.
Yeah, you never know what sort of odd things a draft deck will have in it, but just with Sohum's board state right now, it's looking kind of shapery, kind of like the first part of the game is going to be some setup, and so I feel like that gives r2devo some time to try and rush something out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, Aesop's too? Holy crap.
Yeah, Aesop's with actually good targets. I think he sort of missed the daily cast window. People talk about daily cast being a good combo.
Got it. He can hit that daily cast for 3.
He gets 1 credit off of it, right? He'll get a bonus 1 off it. But I think that when you're talking about a combination of cards, I don't really think of them in terms of a 1 credit advantage together. He didn't even fire the Aesop's on daily cast, so that's kind of a misplay unless he's going to Aesop something, his percentage something. I think your really good daily cast Aesop window is on the click when it drops, or the turn when it drops from 4 to 2. You eat it that turn, so you get this kind of burst instead of just picking up an extra credit at the end of it.
Yeah.
That's a really big one for Noise, I think, where Noise is always very, very poor, but runs daily casts and Aesops in large numbers. And so being able, and with Noise, it's always sort of this weird contract killer. Fascinating. Oh, and he trashes it because he does not want to lose that Proco to contract killer.
That would have been dastardly.
Yeah. But that's the kind of play I want Devo to make more of, is just to start throwing out assets that Sohum feels inclined to trash right now. And if it's like asset click for credit, and Sohum trashes one of the 2 assets, the other one's an econ or something like that, or one's a snare, or it's just sort of keeping Sohum away from being able to really click on his assets here, or his resources. No, he's just going to Glacier. We see an SMC and we see Crescentus. It's probably a safe bet that if you have 3, if this is a Code Gate Barrier Sentry remote, Sohum will not be able to get into it as long as you can res all them.
Yeah.
And I think Little Engine really gives you a lot of safety here on R&D. It's going to be a long time before Sohum really picks himself up to the point where he's going to start running there. I'm not sure about the card on Archives. I guess it's always sort of like a safe bet. It's like, I don't know what my opponent has. I don't want to get sneak doored. he might actually be thinking exactly about the Snake Door because he was playing a Snake Door, and if his hand is like fistful of agendas right now, he doesn't want to get blown out on a Snake Door. But really, his only protection on HQ is a 1 strength barrier with an ATR. Even Inti doesn't care about X Silver at 1.
It's a pretty flimsy HQ protection right there.
Yeah. So I'd be inclined, if I was really worried about HQ, I'd be much more likely to put this ice, the Archives ice, over HQ. But again, that's sort of telegraphy. It's sort of letting the opponent know, hey, I don't want you to get HQ. So we're currently at the start of Sohum's turn, right? He's thinking about what he wants to do. He has dominating board state. I wonder if he's trying to think about what he's going to eat with ASIPs.
Yeah.
He's thinking about something.
I think he's just hit that Armitage a couple more times and sell it next turn.
Yeah, that's certainly something. He might want to sell the Crescentus. He might be thinking about, this is probably not a great move, but he could find his Code Gate barrier, run R&D and Crescentus, the little engine. But little engine isn't actually it's not a toll booth. It's 5. It's expensive, but it's not going to bankrupt devo to re-res it.
Very deep thought.
Yeah, Sohum does have. In the games I played with him, Sohum will play, very very quickly for most of the game, and then he'll hit these decision points, and he will really mull over that decision point. I remember hitting that in, I think one of our matches where I was running. I think the first match. Oh wow. Oh wow, this is some Anarch stuff. This is a what is this constructed moment right here, I think.
Yeah.
Like the Eater Wanton, come on.
Exactly.
And Sohum hates Anarch so much. He goes on and on about how broken Anarch's card pool is right now. I think this is definitely something we need to give him shit for.
Man, I see this Caligota pack. I'm inclined to start agreeing with him.
Run Amok. Run Amok has got you.
Yeah.
Run Amok is it's really something. There's got to be some kind of recursion. I really really hope that FFG is just trolling us all a little bit because they've shown some really there's Fear of the Masses, there's Bagat, there's now Run Amok. There's just a lot of corpse losing cards. They can't preserve a board. They can't preserve a deck over the course of the game. And so, I really hope there's just some crazy recursion showing up that's going to allow Corpse to get stuff out of their discard and put it back in the deck or put it back into play or something. Because as is, it feels like, NEH is already really strong. And part of the reason NEH is really strong is just that they don't need that much stuff because the game doesn't wow! Ahem, what is this constructed?
Jeez, what the heck?
At least he has to pay for this. And it's going to cost him 2. He's going to let the third sub fire. But man, that's this looks to me like a max deck, right?
Yeah.
Except
with the Aesops and Proco though. I mean, this is like the unholy marriage of all factions.
Yeah. Uses keyhole to trash red herrings. Devo's really not. I think the really noticeable thing here is Devo's really not able to get any kind of econ going. He played a Beanstalk and a green level, and that's a whole 5 credit. That's a little better than a single hedge. And I think that's what you expect in draft is not being able to pay for things. But
so now they're carrying through the engine for 2 each time. That's dirty.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens with Little Engine, right? Is once they get over the hump of being able to actually break the engine, then it's actually not a super expensive break because that 5 credits kicks in and gives you the money back. Even if you have like say a Gordian, you're looking at the same kind of thing. You're looking at it's a 2 credit break. It really shines in stuff with like Faust and Yogg, obviously. Like it's an arcade card in a lot of ways. Shaper doesn't really. Gordian breaks it for 2. Zoo breaks it for 3. Neither of those are things that Shaper really cares about that much. We get the install advance. I think Devo sort of sees the writing on the wall, and he's like, I gotta score out now. I gotta put 5 3s into play, or else this keyhole's just gonna end me. There's 5 points in Archives now. I don't know if Sohum has, what our Archives Ice is. Now this Archives Ice looks so much better now that we've sort of seen Sohum's deck. Oh, interesting. Oh, hey, it's another next. Look at that. Look at that. Actual synergy.
And I hit Archives just to see what the heck. Yeah, there we go.
Yep, exactly. Oh, hey.
Oh.
I know that ice. That's my icon.
Yeah, that's not going to keep him out.
Yeah, no, it's not going to keep him out at all. That's 5 points for Sohum, and at least 5 points, so we don't know what. So we see, Caprice, wow. Snowflake is certainly something to be said in draft. Caprice and the Red Herrings, it's not quite as good as the Caprice Ash combo, I think, but that's really, you could really defend an agenda that way.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's not advancing whatever the thing is. He's drawing. So this might have been a bluff. Oh! Punitive Counter-Strike.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's going to wipe Sohum's hand. He doesn't have any money, so he's not going to be able to kill Sohum. But, man, if Sohum had decided not to just let the pup fire, to let the pup hit him for 1, I guess he discarded down. He was at 6 cards, so he would have still been at 5 here. But 5 meat damage. What did we get to see? We see a lady, we see a femme, we see a bank job, we see RDI, we saw imp. There is 0 jank here. None of these cards. Snowball is kind of jank. But out of Sohum's deck, there is nothing I would really qualify as jank.
Yeah, I mean, deck. Hell, my handy deck does run Snowball.
Yeah. If the worst card in your deck is Snowball, then you drafted quite a monster deck. Yeah, I was gonna say, Sohum's just gonna go back to keyholing, and he just needs to find one agenda. This looks rough on Devo.
Yeah, it's rough.
I think you just don't expect someone to come out of the gate with this, from turn 1. Sohum has been just showing a really dominant board position.
Oh wait, why did he break the 3rd sub?
I have no idea. Oh, he wants to Crescentus it. He's going to Crescentus.
Ah.
He wants to flip the ice, so that way he doesn't have to pay any more to get in.
Yeah, true.
Because now he knows he definitely doesn't have a way to flip it back.
Yeah, Crescentus is key on here. You have to click it at the right time, or else.
It's like before you hit continue, right? It's like while you're still facing the ice, something like that.
Yeah, you can't pass the ice and then use it. It's irritating like that.
We see an Adonis campaign, and he's still got 2 credits, so he can pay for the pup. Not that he really matters. He's going to know exactly what's in archives. There's no surprises here if he finds an agenda. I actually wonder if Devo is holding all the agendas at this point. We've seen 5 points from Devo out of his deck. We've seen something here in server 1. We don't know what server 1 is. There's another next. Wow! He managed to draft 3 next. That's pretty cool. Oh, there's a 4th one. He drafted 4 next. He had a legit suite. That would actually be quite the next silver if he got that up and running. Next silver is I think the really scary one of the bunch. Because once you get, 4 or 5 next up, next silver becomes just this behemoth of a break. It's like 5 credits for everything, except for Sherman. Sherman is the big counter. I think Devo is really he's out of time. I don't think he can score out before Sohum can just mill him to death. He doesn't even need to Bernice Mai is surprising to me. I had never really looked at the card that closely until Hunter was playing that Your Dead Mate deck with it.
Yeah.
And once I kind of like, oh hey, what is this? Constructed? It's a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Once I saw Hunter kind of, rolling around with this Bernice Mai and watching it in his deck, it's like, wow, that's a really strong card. That's actually way better than I'd given it credit for.
There's a lot of little hidden cards like that in Netrunner, and you just kind of forget about them until someone finds them and then has a light bulb moment and throws them in a deck. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see Bernice in like a Harpsick kill deck type thing, like one of the Butcher Shop variants. Because I think C-Source is a very understood bit of math, and I think a lot of NBN decks don't actually run C-Source. I think that's pretty much a Wayland thing, where they expect to be able to outmoney the runner that hard. And if this is a Chrysium, that's actually really good for Devo. And so I'm just does Econ's path. It doesn't try to do it. He needs 8 credits if it is a Chrysium to be able to keep R&D safe. So I think he has to just clicker Econ here. Install something new. No, see the big problem here is now Sohum knows he can just keyhole, because even if he reses the little engine, he can't afford the Chrysium if it is Chrysium.
Yeah.
If it's like Caprice, if he managed to draft 2 Caprices, I really question what in the world was going on in that draft pool.
Yeah. Well, I was in it, so.
Did you see 2 Caprices where you're just like, Caprice, that's a mediocre card.
Card's stupid.
Yeah, who wants that? Alright, so the little engine comes up. So this can't be a Chrysium. Or if it is, it's not going to do anyone any good. Yeah, man, this is such a strong deck performance from Sohum. I guess Lady isn't as good if you don't have all the Shaper bullshit that goes with her, like being able to scavenge her and clone ship her and such.
It's true.
So that's why he's running the Snowball. But like these are all just these are cards that make appearance in top tier decks, all of them, and frequent appearances. Sure gamble for one. Smog has something to say to me. Oh, Smog asking how's the match still going. Is that another next? He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 next in his deck, and possibly more if he had these things. That's a really cool draft setup there. And it's nice too because once you take 2 or 3 of those, nobody else wants them. Nobody else is going to take next after they've seen 2 or 3 go by, and like they just assume there's none left. So you can leave them for late in the pack. You don't need to take. They're not like a priority pick.
Right.
I guess with the way the packs worked in our draft, you weren't going to see many things table. Like it was unlikely for a pack to come back to you. But still, it was that's pretty cool that he managed to draft that many. Of course, it doesn't mean anything against Mr. I am playing constructed. I am going to play, Eater Hole. Please be a Chrysium. I really hope this thing is a Chrysium. Right now. Just to stop Sohum. And then he Jackson's back. Oh, hoo, hoo.
Nice.
Narwhalicious also has commentary for if he doesn't score, he loses the game. Yeah. He doesn't 100% lose the game. If he's had 2 Jacksons in hand, he could play a Jackson. If this is a Chrysium, like in Magical Christmas Land, this is a Chrysium, so the Eater Hole stops. He has 2 Jacksons in hand. He plays a Jackson, shuffles back cards, and then he plays another Jackson, shuffles back cards, and draws that subliminal messaging and uses that to get money. But yeah, I think he's really kind of in a position here.
I mean, unless he can get some cards back in R&D, that's a...
Yeah, that's game. I'm amused that Sohum didn't find any agendas, though, so that means the rest of them were all in his hand, I guess, unless this mystery card. Or Sohum... There's only 1 card left, so Sohum may have seen that agenda and just been like, I'm going to mill out just to be an asshole. I mean, this is the guy who, right, instead of scoring out his agenda, just played his top deck Scorch. Last game. Trash is hostage. Okay, there's the last card. Alright, are we going to see some, like, super huge fireworks here?
Yeah.
Advance.
What if it's Hades, though?
He can't score it. He has no way to actually get it off the board. He only 2 credits.
Man, what a bummer.
Yeah, if it was Hades, that'd be cool. If it was Hades, we had a Jackson. But I wish so bad this agenda was Hades Shard. So do we. But I mean, someone would probably just like, I don't know, inside job it or something.
Right.
I would have given him massive style points if he had just Fisk Investment there as his first click.
Run R&D.
At 0 credits, is there anything he could hit here that would end the game for him? I don't think so, right? Like, I don't. It has to be like some kind of like Psychic Field, Hokusai Grid type thing. Oh, derp, no money. You have 8 credits. You have money. Mem. Then he trashes the keyhole. Accesses Quicksand. Oh, Quicksand would have been great on that R&D if he could have afforded to res it. That's unfortunate.
Rough.
Yeah, rough match. That is. I know it's just like one of these. One player had a Shaper deck with Anarch bullshit, and the other had a draft deck, and that's it's quite the matchup. The clone chips. Third and fourth pick. Tabling around in the same pack. Someone in front of him did not like the clone chips. All right, I'm going to cut the recording for now, just so we can put this up on YouTube and not be too long.
Yeah, I'm going to drop out right here. But thanks for letting me pen and commentate.
Yeah, for sure. This is fun.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.